My guest today in this Women's Month series is someone who, I don't know how you do it though, because you're running a company, which is a hard thing to do. Running a listed company is an even harder thing. But running a listed company that's listed on its own stock exchange, which means you are heading a community of listed entities, and you are doing it in a country as dynamic as South Africa, on a continent as dynamic as Africa, is something that only Leila Fourie can tell about. Leila, welcome, the CEO of JSE Limited.
Thank you, Victor. Hi, it's lovely to be with you today and to chat.
Doesn't it make you dizzy knowing you are listed on your own stock exchange? I mean, can somebody be more in the spotlight than you?
Well, it means that the standards we have to uphold are very high, and we have to be the first to embrace new governance requirements, and so the standards for probity and the standards for leadership are very much in the spotlight.
Yeah. And you are a chartered member of lots of institutes of directors here in South Africa and abroad, which means governance is something you breathe. It's your second nature. Running the JSE after Nikki Newton-King in an Africa that's the spotlight of the world investment and capital markets, what does it feel like? What does it take?
Well, Victor, to be honest, I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I had the privilege of spending 4 years at home with my children when they were born, and it was much, much more difficult running a home than it is running the stock exchange. I love my job. I'm very embraced. I equally loved my time at home with my children. And I think it's really all about just being energetic, being empathetic, being motivated, and trying to encourage others to do their best, because the more you can empower those around you, the easier your job is. And I think the COVID crisis has shown us that those women who empower those around them and who are empathetic are the most effective leaders. And that's certainly been a really interesting lesson for me, and is something that I'm doing my best to try and embrace in my role running the exchange.
Wow. And you are running it now during the COVID-19. As things stand, the South African economy was stagnating, which means things were hard for companies in general and for job seekers, people who are counting on the private sector to create jobs. And now COVID has hit. You're talking about motivating others. Hey, I know raising children is tough, but you have many children, Leila.
Indeed, we have many, many children, and we're very focused on the well-being and the welfare of everybody in our constituency. So I have to say, and I've said this before in a public domain, that in the last 181 days, I've learned more about myself and more about leading others than I have in the entire history of my career, which is over 25, nearly 30 years. It's been as much a challenge as it's been a privilege. And so I feel very privileged and very lucky to be able to support those people around me and to encourage them and to motivate them to be better and to do better. And I think the JSE, as a result, has come to the fore and led the way in many of our commercial things, the commercial initiatives that we've brought about, whether it's fees for smaller companies, or as recently as a week ago, we introduced a new policy which enables leave equally for men as it does for women. And for me, that's really all about embracing the human component of our business. So it's not as much about numbers and analytics and technical information, notwithstanding the fact that I'm very interested and curious about that, as it is about empowering and encouraging the humanity around you.
But you're the best CEO to speak to in Women's Month, because you are a woman You replace the woman. Your chairman is a woman of the JSE. So you talk about walking the talk. That's it right there. What do you think if 1956 was about women fighting past laws and all apartheid legislation, would be today's issue that's worth marching on the authorities or anyone about?
I think in 1956, as you said, it was about past laws. It was mainly in the workplace about finding a place for women just to simply get an entry ticket to the game. All they wanted to do was to be counted and to be eligible to work. And in fact, that was off the back of, in a global context, World War II, where we saw lots of women going out to work while their husbands or the men were at war. And that opened the door for entry into the workplace, and that's what we've seen. And just after the World War, lots of technology changes brought about appliances, and they made life for women easier, and they increased the participation of the workforce. What we are fighting today is there is a powerful systemic and unconscious bias which is blocking career progression of women. So we do have representation, we do have workforce participation, but we've got two major things missing. We have a lack of representation of women in positions of leadership, and we have gender pay parity issues. Women doing the same job as men are not earning what men are earning. The World Economic Forum did a study, and men are earning on average 15 to 18% more. There's a 15 to 18% gender pay parity gap. And the World Economic Forum says that if you look at the rate of increase or the rate of change, it's going to take us 200 years to equalize that gap.
Wow.
We have some work to do across the world, not only in South Africa.
Well, you've seen it in even competitions like Wimbledon and the sports tournaments all over the world, where they were forced to bring that parity into play. But JSE is doing something even for women in increasing the literacy, financial literacy, particularly with respect to investments and particularly on listed equities.
Indeed. And I think financial literacy and financial independence is a really important concept. I'm actually a bit embarrassed to say that when I was 30 years old, I started working for a bank. And at that time, when I joined, I didn't have a bank account in my own name. I had a joint bank account. And so were I to get divorced at that point in time, I would have no history. And so basic financial literacy is crucial for the well-being of the broader public. Now, what we are launching and will be enjoying on the 8th of August, celebrating Women's Day, is a conference called She Invests. And it's directed at the ordinary woman in the street. It's not directed necessarily at highly sophisticated females in the financial markets, and it's directed at inclusive education, inclusive growth, and participation in the financial markets. It's not good enough for us just to be able to participate in the workforce. We have to participate in financial markets. We have to learn and become savvy about how to invest, where to invest, what products in which to invest. And this is crucial for the emancipation and for the general independence and dignity of women across South Africa. And so we're very excited about She Invests conference, and we're looking very forward to engaging with people. This time we'll be doing it online, and because of that, it means across the country people could participate. It's not just limited to those people in Johannesburg.
Wow. You know what? That's where I don't need to hear anything else. If women were marching against past laws, sharing your personal story, just how you became financially involved in your own affairs, now you're opening the floodgates for women, especially doing it online on the 8th of August. Thank you very much, Leila Fourie, for joining us and for sharing this. We look forward to what comes out of it, and you'll be hearing from me time and time again.
Thank you, Victor, and happy Women's Day to all the women out there.
I have lots of women in my life. Luckily, my mother is still alive, and my wife and my nieces and everyone. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Victor.